Welcome to Geological Shop Talk. In this podcast, we bring you roughly 20 to 25 minutes of practical clinical methods, perspectives, and advice that has its work boots on. Listen in for clinical gems that you can begin to investigate the next time that you walk into clinic. Additionally, visit the show notes page for supporting materials from this week's guest on Shop Talk. All right, friends, roll up your sleeves. Let's get to work. This episode of Shop Talk is brought to you by LASA OMS, your clinic's partner in wellness. Later in the show, listen for a special offer from LASA to help you with all the transitions your patients face. The information shared on this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. Always consult a qualified licensed healthcare professional before making any decisions about your health or treatment. The host and guests are not responsible for any actions taken based on the content of this podcast.
Hey guys, it's Chloe from Radical Roots, and I am here to give you the lowdown on everything you need to know about hemp. So first and foremost, I think it's incredibly important that we all understand and appreciate that cannabis overall, hemp and marijuana, have been a part of our pharmacopoeia for thousands of years. I also think it's really important that as these different herbs start to trend in our society, that we as practitioners who have the most extensive herbal training of any practitioners that I know of in the world at least, that we are the ones who are leading the charge, educating our patients and our communities about how to use herbs safely and effectively. See, I started studying this plant about 5 years ago when my son Remy was diagnosed with his rare genetic disorder, and this disorder causes multiple disabilities and intractable epilepsy. So clearly I went down the CBD route for the epilepsy, and what I found was that people really just don't understand how to use herbal medicine. All of the products were one size fits all. They were not honoring the plants. They were using shitty extraction techniques and crappy mass farming techniques. And it just really wasn't up to my standards as an herbalist or as a mom. Thus why I started Radical Roots, and thus why I'm here today. So what's really fun about hemp is it's so safe, it's so effective. It's such a beautiful plant, and I'm hoping that after today's talk, you will know more about it and be just as inspired as I am to use this both in your practice and in your personal life. So I'm going to start with the easy questions, and we're going to get more complicated as we go. So please bear with me as we run through this whole thing. So first, is hemp the same thing as marijuana? Short answer is yes, but also no. So the cannabis family is the family of plants that have both marijuana and hemp. In the case of marijuana, you're going to have cannabis plants that have been grown and bred to potentiate the amount of THC in the plant. So THC is a cannabinoid that acts upon the CB1 receptors, which are mainly located in the brain and the nervous system. And these can cause the classical psychotropic effects that you commonly see, feel, hear about. So THC can actually be used medicinally, and there's an increasing amount of research elucidating how that works, but many people use it for neurological disorders like Parkinson's, epilepsy, or MS. People use it for oncology support and pain management. What I think is really interesting is that CBD and THC actually compete for the same receptors in the brain. So if somebody is either overdosing on THC, you can give them some CBD to help counterbalance that effect. But also, if you're working with somebody with one of those more significant disorders and they're looking to have THC in their products but don't want the psychotropic effects, then you can increase the amount of CBD and find the ratio that works well for them. So they're getting the medicinal qualities of the THC, but less of the psychotropic effects. Hemp, on the other hand, is cannabis that has less than 0.3% THC. So hemp can be grown to make all sorts of materials like clothing and paper, and that's what we consider industrial hemp. But hemp can also be grown for its medicinal qualities, which typically means that hemp is grown to potentiate the amount of CBD that's found in the plant. So CBD is one of the main cannabinoids found in cannabis plants and can account to 30 to 40% of the plant when it's grown correctly. And CBD has been shown to have so many clinical applications, has no psychotropic effects, and is incredibly safe. The reason that CBD is so incredibly effective is the similar reason to how acupuncture is so unbelievably effective. It's the endocannabinoid system. So, discovered in the early 90s, the endocannabinoid system is considered the master regulatory system for both the brain and the body. So this system is made up of receptors that are located throughout the body, and it works to maintain a level of homeostasis, or what we like to consider the Goldilocks zone. So the primary receptors are the CB1 receptors, which are located in the brain and the nervous system, and the CB2 receptors, which are primarily found in the immune system, but are also located throughout the body. As it turns out, we make our own cannabinoids. They're called endogenous cannabinoids, or endocannabinoids, and they're called anandamide, which is also considered the bliss molecule, or 2-AG. So these two molecules work directly upon both the CB1 and CB2 receptors, as does THC. But CBD works differently. When we're under stress, whether it's physical or psychological, our body releases endocannabinoids into the system. Now, unlike neurotransmitters and hormones, endocannabinoids are broken down directly after they're used by different enzymes. This rapid breakdown of endocannabinoids can lead to a state of deficiency in cannabinoids. But what CBD does is it breaks down one of those enzymes so that we are able to have more of the anandamide, that endocannabinoid, available for our system. What I find particularly interesting is this idea of endocannabinoid deficiency. So we used to have hemp in our food daily for thousands of years. It was an intricate part of our lives, and it was a part of the feed of the animals that we were eating. So when we took hemp out of the diet in the 19th century, we also increased our stress loads, both physical and psychological, and now we're sort of running at what I would consider an endocannabinoid deficiency. So that's part of why I think that the hemp boom and the CBD boom was such a big deal, was because so many people are just running at this deficiency state that once they were able to flood their endocannabinoid system with these exogenous cannabinoids, everybody was feeling so incredibly good that it was such a game changer. This is why I actually have come to the conclusion that it's really essential for people to be taking CBD extracts as a part of their daily supplement routine, and particularly at least when you're under a particular amount of stress, and that could arguably be all of us all of the time. So next we've got the entourage effect, and I've got to say it is my absolute favorite thing when Western medicine actually catches up to knowledge that our medicine has known for thousands of years. So this is the idea that the whole is greater than the parts. Fancy that. So in cannabis, whether it's hemp or marijuana, not only do you have the cannabinoids, but you have terpenes. And so anybody who's smelled cannabis knows that it has a very unique and distinct smell. Those are the terpenes. And so each plant has a different terpene profile, and each terpene has a different medicinal quality. So it's really important that these terpenes are honored in the final product. And so not only do we have the cannabinoids and the terpenes, but we've got other phytochemicals that are really essential. And then hemp is also a really highly dense mineral heavy plant. So I think that that's one of the reasons why our products with Radical Roots are so effective, because we use a spagyric processing technique that gets those minerals into the final product, which I think that those are essential for potentiating the healing actions of the herbs. Since cannabis products have had such dramatic and wonderful effects on such a wide variety of conditions, pharmaceutical companies have obviously taken notice. And also I'd like to note that a survey in 2019 showed that almost 50% of people who were able to get on a high quality CBD extract were able to get off of their pharmaceuticals. So let me tell you that there has been no shortage of hoops for me to jump through as an owner of a CBD company that is trying to put out good herbal medicine and educate and empower people around their choices when it comes to health. But what's interesting is that the research is incredibly clear on this. So despite there being a ton of money and a big push on these pharmaceuticals, research shows that the pharmaceutical isolates are not only less effective than complete spectrum hemp, but they have over 4 times the amount of severe adverse reactions. So it's much more safe and much more effective to take a whole plant extract. And also, I have talked to pharmacists who are experts in this field who have said that it's also much safer to take the whole plant extracts in combination with different pharmaceuticals, much less of a chance of a significant reaction. Next, the quality of your product is essential. So hemp is what we would consider a hyperaccumulator. So that is incredible. It means that hemp is actually able to draw toxins from the environment. It also potentiates topsoil. I mean, it's really miraculous the ways in which this plant can not only heal us as humans and our pets, but it can also really, truly help heal our planet in such a beautiful, beautiful way when it's grown respectfully. That being said, if you're getting a product that is not organically grown or that does not have testing for heavy metals, pesticides, etc., then you're going to get that in the final product. So first and foremost, please make sure that you're working with a company that you know is doing that appropriate testing. Next, you really want to look at the extraction techniques, and I'll break down the main ones for you really quickly. So CO2 extraction is considered the gold standard. And CO2 extraction creates a very clean product, and it extracts a high amount of cannabinoids per pound. Unfortunately, CO2 is a liquid gas and only extracts the non-polar chemicals. That means that it's not very effective at preserving the terpenes and some of the other phytochemicals, and it's also not water soluble. Next, we've got an ethanol extraction, which is generally the best way to go. So an ethanol extraction can be great because it extracts not only the non-polar chemicals, but also the polar components as well. But the main concern is making sure that they're using organic products and there are minimal amounts of the residue at the end of the process. So what we use at Radical Roots is spagyric extraction, and it's also what my friend Fiona uses for bioherbology, and she is brilliant and her products are amazing. But this ancient alchemical extraction technique uses organic grape ethanol, and we use that to extract the essence of the hemp and the Chinese herbs that we put in our products. So this creates a tincture of all the terpenes, the cannabinoids, as well as all of the phytochemicals in the herbs and the hemp. From there, the hemp and the herbs are burned at high temperatures for 6 to 8 hours. From the ashes, water is used to reconstitute the mineral and salt components of the plants and add them back to the tincture. It is so cool to watch. Please check it out on our social media. So from a spiritual perspective, we are joining the body and the spirit. And from a chemicals perspective, we're adding back the salts and minerals that are so important to create cofactors to help the plant be more effective in its healing functions. So it's really whole plant medicine. My last tip is I would just keep an eye out for products that have incredibly high levels of CBD per bottle, unless the price point accounts for it. So many people are just using a small amount of complete spectrum hemp extract, and then they're getting very cheap CBD isolates and dumping that in the bottle so that they're able to say that they have a high CBD count. They're able to say that they have complete spectrum extracts, but most of it is very cheap and poorly effective CBD isolate. And it appears that I've run out of time, so I'm going to stop yabbering, but I have so much more information for you. So check out my interviews with Michael and previous episodes of Geological. Feel free to follow us on radicalrootsherbs.com and holler with any questions. It's truly such an incredible honor to work with other practitioners. Truly, I'm so grateful for your support, and I wish you nothing but the greatest success in your practices. You guys are all my heroes. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
When you're looking for herbs, tools, and supplies to guide your patients through life's transitions, you need quality you can trust. Lhasa OMS offers an unmatched selection of acupuncture needles for every style, herbs from all your favorite manufacturers, and everything else you need to run your clinic with confidence. Visit LhasaOMS.com to source the herbs and other supplies featured in this series. Use the code FERTILE15 for 15% off your next purchase at LhasaOMS.com. Some exclusions apply. See website for details. That's it for this episode of Shop Talk. Did you learn something that brought a patient to mind? Don't keep a good thing to yourself. Share it with a friend. They'll be happy that you did. And tune in again for our next episode of Shop Talk.